My name is Maya Sutton. I am the digital outreach specialist at a startup called Insurify. It is an insurance quotes comparison site. I've been there about 6 months now. Absolutely love it. The culture, the people, the work, and I wouldn't have gotten the job without networking. So I'm very happy to be moderating this panel. And James and Nick, how about you guys introduce yourselves?
James?
You want me to go, Nick?
Go ahead.
All right, James Avant here. I am a senior recruiter over at Calavio. I have been here for about 4 months. We are a startup out of Boston and just got Series D funding for $320 million. So everybody is super excited here. I focus on G&A marketing, recruiting here. And I got this job because I stayed in contact with my network from interviewing at a previous company. Nick, take it away.
Wonderful. Thanks, James. My name's Nick Morris. I'm the lead tech recruiter over at Grubhub. I believe most of you probably know what Grubhub is. It's a food delivery service. I manage the Boston tech recruiting there, and which used to be a startup called Level Up, which was acquired by Grubhub. But I have about 10 years in the talent acquisition space and have been able to gain a lot of my jobs throughout my career and all my different things I've learned from my network and from people I've learned from past jobs or through LinkedIn. So it's been a valuable resource.
Awesome. So before we jump in, I do want to mention that audience members, we do want to hear from you guys. On the right-hand side, there's going to be 2 polls that we encourage you to answer, as well as a Q&A that you can drop any questions that you might have during the session, and we will try to get to them at the end. So without further ado, let's jump right in. James, why don't you start off by telling us what are some ways you can actively grow your network?
Yeah, so great question. So I think the most important thing is to grow your network, you need to engage with your current network. And that's, liking their posts, resharing their posts, and most importantly, commenting. Your comments, they don't need to be super in depth, but provide some basic thoughts. Great for sharing. Thanks for sharing. I love this post. Just the basics of a comment will do enough. Also, when you are posting, make sure you add images. If you add an image, a picture, video, sound, anything, that gives you about 11 times more engagement than just putting up a post. And then third is join groups. If you're in sales, you're a recruiter, join a recruiting group, join a sales group, join your alumni group from college. And then those are the 3 main things that I think, join a group, stay engaged with your network, and then add pictures to your posts.
Awesome. Nick, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think, James did a great job there. I'd say even once you're just starting creating your LinkedIn profile, give your LinkedIn profile a lot of information. It shouldn't be so vague that you don't know what you do and what's going on with it. So if you're a very passive person you don't want to be networked with, sure, you can just name the company you work at and just have it be very, blah. But if you're trying to network, explain what you do, explain what your passions are, what you've been working on, what you'd enjoy doing in your next role, side projects you've worked on. It's like a resume and a whole, social media profile there. And you want to make sure people realize who you are and why you might be engaging with them, if it's either what you're doing currently in your own job or just what you are all about.
Absolutely. So staying on that topic, just how important is an updated LinkedIn profile from the recruiter's standpoint? Nick, you can continue on with what you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking to network and you want to possibly move around and you care about that, some people like to stay under the radar, but if you want to be seen, showing that and providing that information is very, very important. Any movement you've made within your job is very important. Spelling actually on many layers is very, very important, because I will see someone like, that's they're not taking too much of an effort there if they're really looking to try to make a move. And just any type of detail you can add with current technology you've worked on, boot camps you've been a part of, associations you've been a part of, any type of interest that's there is going to provide just value there of how someone else can potentially connect with you on a business related opportunity or something, just knowing socially what you're involved with. If it's a different type of hobby or a certain type of network, or you're an enthusiast in one other area, it can always help.
Absolutely. James, do you have anything to add to that?
I would 100% agree with Nick. I think adding a nice picture to your profile is always recommended. It doesn't have to be a professional one, but have it show your personality. If you wear hats, wear a hat in it. I think anything that shows people who you are is recommended.
You don't, and that's the thing is, if someone's like, if you're going to connect with someone, and even all the different ways you want to connect, and we're going to get into that, in the next probably question, but if you have nothing there, even if you try to have some comment, like, you don't know what this person is. If you look at it, you can see a little bit more. You're more inclined to engage, and the person's more inclined to communicate back with you and connect with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So back on the subject of, posting a lot and being an engaging, community member on LinkedIn, there is a thin line between being spammy and networking on LinkedIn. So Nick, any advice on how to best navigate this?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, it's not Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook. This is something which, especially on LinkedIn, this is a networking community, which is supposed to be engaging for people's professional careers. So any political rants, anything that you would say are not good cocktail conversation anyway, don't have on there. Share insightful information and have insightful posts they're about your industry or something that's interesting that you've seen that might just be interesting for others within your network. When it comes to spammy, connecting with other people there, you want to make sure that it's kind of within your network and within your realm, and asking for questions, and it's going it's a two-way street there. If you see someone's post, comment on that and share that. If someone's gonna, share yours, help them. If someone asks you for something, respond back. You have to just really be a two-way street there with your network, and not just be spamming, always asking for something.
Yeah, I think recently I was, in the bubble of trying to find a job, and I found like pretty much 10 times out of 10, if I was trying to connect with somebody and I included like a message in that invitation, they would almost every time respond. And like getting just random ads without any message, like explaining who you are, just people are not going to be as inclined to want to connect with you. So 100% agree.
I also would, but like when it comes to those messages and when you're looking for jobs and you're trying to find something, there's that statement where if you shoot for the stars, you land on the moon. I don't think that's really the case of when you want to reach out to people. I mean, if you're reaching out and you're completely unqualified for something, it's just noise there because it seems like it might be a bulk message. Like, really try to connect about something. If you realize you're breaking into an industry you don't know, hey, I just want to hear a little bit more about this. Understand it might take a step back in what I'm doing, but I'm really trying to move into this space. Do you have any time to just discuss a little bit about this area and what might be involved? Like if you're making a shift. So it's just really make it insightful and make it be realistic with the person.
Yeah,
absolutely. So this is sort of, the same question, James, to you. If you are applying for a job and you see that someone in your network is connected to the hiring manager, but you don't know them super well, what would be the best way to approach this?
Yeah, I think the best way to approach it is to be clear and to ask. Say, hey, Maya, I see that you're connected with Nick over at Klaviyo. I am interested in the recruiting position there. Would you be so kind as to give me an introduction to Nick? So, be clear, be concise. And then if you give me the introduction, thank him and then have the conversation with Nick. I think, initially just reaching out and being very clear, being concise and stating your ask, what you're looking for.
Absolutely. So, obviously we're on the very end wrap up of this whole COVID thing. When networking events are a thing again, Nick, how would you suggest figuring out which events to attend? And then how should you best prepare for those events to really use them to your advantage?
Yeah, I mean, I think events that you attend, should have some relevance of where you're trying to go with your career, where you're at with your career, or just something you might be interested in. And you can fit into, those three categories there where you think you're going to go to that event and provide value to those who are attending, and because you're a subject matter expert, or you're trying to break into something and you might be able to pick people's brains there. There's also kind of the salesy approach, which a lot of people do and go there. But that can be done the right way as well, as long as you're researching who's attending the event, seeing what their background is, trying to hear, maybe looking through the profile and seeing some insightful things about them that you might be able to break into conversation with. And again, providing value for them when you're going to that networking event, being transparent if it's just about picking their brain about something, asking if there's anything that you can do for them, and seeing maybe how you can help them with not being salesy. So it's you want to have a plan of who you really want to speak with, and have a couple people that you want to make sure you approach, because everyone's going to be busy, everyone's going to be in circles. You just want to make the best out of your time and have a game plan.
James, anything to add?
No, that's a good point. I think having a plan of why you're going there, if there's 4 or 5 people on the list, the guest list that you'd like to meet, make sure you find them and introduce yourself, but don't be the salesperson. Don't be the salesperson there. It's a two-way conversation and a two-way relationship. So provide something for them as they will provide for you.
And humility is fine if you have and understanding you're going to this place, and if you don't have information, you're trying to break into a new scene, be like, hey, I've seen this for a while. I've been in the finance space for a long time, and I just really want to see what it's all about. So candidly, I just kind of want to hear what's going on here, what's the culture like, and whatever questions you may have. But be transparent, take a step back, and don't have to be on your high horse there, just realizing, hey, I am here to learn, and that's okay.
So sort of going off of that, I went to business school, and a big thing that they sort of hammer home with us is the whole elevator pitch. So from the recruiter standpoint at a networking event, how would you guys, what advice would you give to students in particular that have their whole elevator pitch and, trying to deliver it in a way that does not sound robotic or salesy? So James, any thoughts there?
That's a good one. It's tough. These events, there's so many people there and the time is limited. Just be yourself. I'm not one for elevator pitches. I just want to meet people. I want to say hello, shake hands. I don't the 2 to 3 minutes long. Save it. I think just being yourself though, and introducing yourself, let people know, I'm at Northeastern, or I'm at whatever college you're at, just introduce yourself and be a person.
Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, I think even I use the same kind of prep when I talk to candidates when they're interviewing. I say, let the interviewer speak, let the interviewer ask questions. So going and having this long elevator speech, it's good to understand, to sell yourself and know what you're all about. So have some clarity on what your vision is and what your purpose is and what you're looking to do. But don't ramble, really just make it light, have that person be engaged, that they're enjoying their time with you. And then, hopefully they're inclined to ask questions and try to have open-ended things that they're going to want to ask more to you in relation to you telling them.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's say you're applying for a job that you're really excited about, but you don't have anybody that could provide you with an intro to the company, nobody in your network. So James, what would you say is the best step forward from there?
Yeah, I think the first step is simply apply. You have to show you're interested in the company and in the position. So first step, apply. Second step, connect with the company, follow the company so you can see what's going on with employees, where the company is headed. And then second, start to reach out to employees that are start to reach out to employees that are at the company. Connect with, if you're in finance, connect with finance managers, and then reach out to the recruiters. Introduce yourself. Hi, I'm James. I am interested in this role. Here is my resume. Could you please send this to the correct recruiter or correct hiring manager for this position? But I think, just simply showing that you're interested is step one. So apply, follow the company, understand what the company is doing and what's going on there, and then follow employees as well.
Nick, anything to add?
Yeah, obviously there's a lot of different avenues from hiring manager to TA and in recruiting that you can try to reach out to or try to connect with. But finding commonalities of people that might work within that same team or the area that you're looking to hire to apply for can benefit. So someone who might have went to the same college as you, even if it was 10 years difference, who knows? But there's always that connection there. You find someone that might have been from the same state and had moved to the Boston area, just looking at that, seeing that might be someone who's part of a certain type of community. Anything you can do, people can kind of connect that way, just finding some commonality with someone and then realizing, hey, I applied, just want to maybe pick your brain if you want to push it forward, or see if there's anything else you can provide me with any insight and maybe another direction I should take. Like, being humble there and just, not trying to be force it. And I love to use connection, just seeing maybe what they can do and try to just make that connection as a human being first.
Yeah. So funny that you should say that, because the way that I got my current job was I saw the posting for this digital outreach specialist on LinkedIn, and I went to the company page, was looking at, those employees, and lo and behold, there was a girl who was 3 years ahead of me at UMass. And I was like, okay, awesome. I'm going to slide into her DMs. And I was like, hey, Jackie, I see that you work at Insurify and you're a UMass alum. I am definitely interested in working here. Would love to hear more about the company and, the team and everything, because it was a job on her team. And, long story short, she put in a good word for me. I had the phone screen. She gave me some great advice on, how to best interview, and I got the job. And it was just like a wonderful, perfect networking moment. And the job that I have, it's digital outreach specialist. So like the whole theme is comfortability, cold call or reaching out to people. And she basically was like, you did that in the very first interaction. So it was pretty much a done deal from there. And I just think like people really do need to like see all of the potential options that you could have, connections to. Like it just took me, I'd never heard of Insurify. I went on the company page and then there was a UMass person. So like what you were saying, Nick, just little similarities is a foot in the door every single time.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
So we are done with our questions. So I definitely want to turn it over to the Q&A. I see someone just asked, why do recruiters ghost people after initial conversations? Nick, do you want to take this one?
Yeah. There are a lot of bad recruiters out there. I think recruiting is one of those things. You don't get a master's in recruiting at Harvard. So it's not something that you really come into. You do stumble into it. A lot of people come from the agency space where they only make money based on the candidate being, placeable and being a placeable candidate. So the ones that are good and have staying power in the industry, keep that connection, give very in-depth feedback of why the person might not be a fit, decline the person and try to just at least give them some communication if there's no next steps or whatever it may be. So that's really just more of a bad habit that a lot of recruiters have. It's some people, it does fall through the cracks. It is busy. Sometimes it's not personal. But that's because, particularly in the agency space, they're paid on placements. We try to have a better candidate experience in the internal space because we want to understand the brand. But again, there's some bad apples out there.
James, anything to add?
Yeah, I would second what Nick said. A lot of it is just sometimes people slip through the cracks. Time, unfortunately, time isn't is of essence, but it's everybody is busy at work, and sometimes you just do not get back. So it's not always intentional. But yeah, sometimes it's also just bad recruiters.
So, both of you guys are recruiters. How about you share, why you are a recruiter? What was the pathway to getting to where you are now? James, you could start us off.
All right. Well, I was one of those agency recruiters. I was in sales and an agency reached out to me. I've never heard of them before. And I went in for an interview and I was like, what is this job? What do you do? What do you do? I've never heard of this recruiting. I've never heard of agency thing. And almost 7 years at that company later, I made the transition over to the corporate life, and now it's been almost 3 years now. So almost 10 years of recruiting after never ever hearing of staffing agency or recruiting before.
That's awesome. Nick, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I was just looking to move up to Boston and saw an opportunity that was at Robert Half, big agency there. They give everyone a shot, so I hopped in and went through the gauntlet there, and 3.5 years later, I was a division director there, and from there really went to a disruptor startup, actually, where I got through my network, where I was a fourth employee of an early stage startup because I had that entrepreneurial spirit and wanted to get out of big corporate life, and really moved from there from HR technology to a boutique firm. And then a little over 2 years ago, joined, Chewy, which people know, and then kind of moved from there, going internal. And I think that's the progression of the career, is trying to be more consultative and really building engineering teams, not being about the money, but being about culture and about progress and about creating that excellent candidate experience and building great teams. So, the journey continues. But it's very happy that I fell into it.
That's great. Yeah. And on the subject of, company culture, obviously startup culture is like a known thing. And I think it could have, not some truth qualities to it, but it's definitely very different from like bureaucratic big company culture. Could you, James, maybe speak to like what really startup culture means to you?
Yeah, startup culture means to me, a fast pace. The time that you're able to put a process in place. Bigger companies, it's 6-9 months, a year before you can implement something. At a startup, you have the potential to do it rather quickly. And then also being able to experiment, to see from a technology, from a process and initiative standpoint, you're able to experiment and just have the ability to do more at a quicker time at a startup.
Nick, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think startup is very much it's a culture and a vibe, and not really even a size. It's, if you're in an organization that has that feel, there's a lot of demand on you. There's not someone that you're just going to lean on and you're just a number there. You contribute. You're being hired to, in many cases, make some changes and improve in some area of the company, if it's in engineering or in TA or sales or whatever it may be. So you do generally have a voice there. There are going to be growing pains. Not everything is how it's supposed to be, and there is going to be pitfalls there because they're trying to figure things out on the fly. But you just got to be able to pivot, kind of be receptive to the room, and then try to just see what you can do to work with others to improve the company and have like a vested interest.
Absolutely. Haley, do we have time for maybe one more question? Awesome.
Yeah.
So the question is solid advice from James regarding the commenting on people's LinkedIn posts. Any other suggestions for staying in touch with your network without always asking for something?
I mean, asking for something isn't always a bad thing, but if you are going to ask, be clear. But if you're going to how to stay in touch with your network, just check in occasionally. I had somebody reach out to me the other day who I was connected with for 2 years, and she just said, "Tell me about recruiting. I'm interested in getting into it." So we set up a call. But I think sharing, resharing posts, commenting, liking, and then just checking in every now and then, just wanting to drop a note, say, just wanted to drop you a note to see how everything's going over at Klaviyo. And that's it. Just stay in touch.
Nick, what about you?
I mean, yeah, a lot of what James said there, just being engaged, and when it comes to commenting, sharing, just realizing, hey, I'm still here type of thing there, without really trying to push for something. When it comes to messaging, try to come back to something you might have discussed before. If you have it still in the comments there, you remember something about a move or a transition to a new job or a new startup or something they're trying out on their own. Have a quick ask on that without anything else. How's everything going at such and such startup? I know you were looking to make the move, after you bought a new house. How's the house move, come into place? Something else there, just realizing that you actually were engaged and listening the last time.
Definitely. So we have about 4 minutes left. So James and Nick, any last words of wisdom? Nick, you can start us off.
Yeah, I mean, just connect. Don't be afraid to kind of kind of go out your comfort zone a little bit, but just try to keep it professional. Try to just think outside the box into other areas of where you can connect with people. It could be from anything from communities, from talking about sports to, I know there's a lot of networks when it comes to online gaming or whatever it may be. Like, just figure out wherever you can find a connection and a common bond, and then, be transparent and just always be, it's all right to be humble about some way if you want to just know a little bit of information, but just don't try to put a fake facade on if you're just trying to ask for a little information or ask for help.
James?
Yeah, so I second that as well. Be yourself, be friendly, be personable. I think, we mentioned the tagline and headlines earlier. Show your personality there. It's okay to put something funny and to be yourself. It doesn't have to be, I am a senior recruiter at Clayville. You can put whatever you want on your headline. Connect with and stay engaged with your network, and just be yourself. I think that's the most important thing is, be yourself.
Yeah, I think bottom line, it's only awkward if you make it awkward. Fake it till you make it, go in with confidence. Everybody is just, they're all people. So it's obviously high stakes sometimes, but networking is, talking to somebody that is a person too. And I think overthinking is an easy road to go down, but confidence, be yourself, don't make it awkward, because it really doesn't have to be awkward.
Great.
So, Haley, before I hand it back over to you, I just want to say thank you all so much for attending this panel. It was a lot of fun. Please don't hesitate to reach out to any of us. Obviously, we're all on LinkedIn, and maybe you guys can apply some new skills you might have learned and just get out there, get networking.